Purpose is not something you pick. Purpose is something you discover. Listen, hear me. There's a lot of people confused trying to figure out their purpose. You don't choose a purpose. You discover a purpose. And that's why if you walk up on my children and ask them what they want to be when they grow up, they're not going to say, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor. They're going to say, I want to fulfill my purpose. Because according to Ephesians 2:10, before they were born, Jesus already prepared paths for them.
Welcome back, family, to the Hands in the Sky podcast. I am your host, Rizzy Shy, and we're going to catch a vibe today. It's raining outside. It's kind of gloomy. Weather kind of calmed down a little bit. It's a good day to catch a vibe. So that's what we're going to do today. The gentleman that you guys had just heard was Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. Awesome brother. Got introduced to him by just watching some YouTube videos, and he has a very passionate way of talking about the Lord and the Savior and the Holy Ghost. So I would implore you, if you haven't already, to tune in to Pastor Philip Anthony Mitchell. You're gonna get a workout. I mean, the brother be preaching. Sometimes I be waiting for him to do some squats, do some bench presses. Okay, but his message was about purpose, and we can kind of dissect that. We can go a couple of different ways with it. As always, I'm not gonna hold you long, but I am gonna hold you. Don't lay with it, stay with it. Just before I get into everything, give you guys an update on what's going on with your boy Rizzy. As we stand today, the cancer is still prevalent in my body. I did get a second opinion with MD Anderson, and they recommended the same thing as the first recommendation, which is I'm going to have to at some point progress to getting a liver transplant. The cancer is being affected by the chemo, so it's working. The chemo is working on the cancer, but it's just not working enough to save the liver. So rather than just stay on chemo forever, because that's the option, I think we just want to just cut our losses, as we say in this cancer world. So we're gonna progress toward the liver transplant. Don't really know what that looks like. I'm a neophyte to it. I'm just starting to like kind of learn about it and study about it and learn some things about it. But I got to take my time with it, because one thing that you guys don't know is that I have anxiety, and I have a heightened awareness of my anxiety. Anything and everything can set me off, and it has over time. So the information channel has to be a slow one, and it has to be one that just kind of just feed me like a baby. Otherwise, I'm going to trigger myself. In the end, I'm going to know everything I need to know. I'm just going to get it when I need it. If you give it to me all at once, it's probably going to trigger an anxiety episode, and we don't want that, because trying to get back on track from those are a minor miracle. But anyway, enough with that. Just know your boy is doing good, and your boy ain't forgot how to do nothing. Trust me on that. So, but today we're going to talk about purpose. Purpose. What is your purpose? What is purpose? Is there a such thing as having a purpose? How do you find a purpose? Why would you want to have a purpose? So I think that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's not going to be a long podcast, but it's going to be long enough that we're going to get the topic out, and we're going to dissect it. So when we talk about purpose, let's start with, how do you find your purpose? How do you find your purpose? It's not like finding your cell phone or the remote. We've all done that. Or we lost the remote. Had to look up under the couch, under the chair, whatever. Finding your purpose has a little bit more substance than that. And so if somebody would ask me, how do you find your purpose? I would hit them with a series of questions of, what interests you? What are some things that you want to see done? What are some things that you think you can improve on in the world? What is something you've always wanted to do, but just never had the time or the resources to do it? What gets your fire burning? What are some of the things you dream about? Those are ways you can find your purpose. And you can go through each and every one of those scenarios I said, and in some way you can find a purpose or purposes, when you do that. So I think that's the first thing. What are your interests? What gives you, dreams of nostalgia? What gives you that burning fire that you just can't live without? What gives you that? Let's start there, and you could find your purpose, right? So let's start there. What interests you? What are your interests? And these could be things that you have a history of. These can be things that you have a family history of. These are things that you could have seen casually. These are things that could have interested you. Say you was on vacation or you were just out on an outing and you seen something. It piqued your interest. Okay. It could be a situation you was in. There's 100 million nurses in the world. And trust me, there was a nurse that was in some type of dramatic situation. And she said, I want to be a nurse. You never know when you're going to find your purpose. But you can. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and keep moving on. We'll go to the next point. And we said, having a purpose. Why is having a purpose important? Some people will argue that you having a purpose is not going to do anything for you. Your life is still going to be the same. It's not going to change one iota. So you having a purpose is like not even having a purpose, because it's going to serve you no work. Ha ha! Ha ha! I beg to differ. I think having a purpose is almost like finding yourself. I think having a purpose is almost like finding your passion. I think having a purpose is like finding your will. I think having a purpose is understand there's a higher being than you. I think having a purpose is a push forward type method. I think having a purpose really shows what type of person you are and what kind of character you exude. I think having a purpose can have its own purpose because you want to have a purpose. It says something about a person who just wants to do something like that. I look up to people like that, the people who want to make the world better, to want to make their situation better, want to make other situations better, pushing the needle forward. Usually those are the purpose pushers. Those are the people who have purpose. They want to see you do better. They want to do better. And in their own little world, they're going to make the world better. So that's why having a purpose is so important, because it helps everybody. It helps the conglomerate. It helps the world move. Everybody has to have a purpose. And you can die not even knowing what your purpose is, but that does not negate that you had one. You just never found out what it was. Okay? And then we can hit just on some other things. Having a purpose also could be linked to your legacy. What kind of legacy are you going to live? Actually, yeah, you're right. What kind of legacy are you going to live? And what kind of legacy are you going to leave? That can be your purpose fulfilled life. I want my legacy to be this. And I want my purpose to be this. I want to live this way so my legacy can be this way. And a lot of people do that. My legacy is my purpose, and this is how I'm going to live my life. And also, too, it could be God's purpose. It doesn't even it might not even have anything to do with you. God might just say, you are my son, and I got a purpose for you that you don't even see it. You don't smell it. You don't taste it. You don't even know it's there. And a lot of time, your purpose can come from your spiritual world, your spiritual being, your ability to believe in things other than yourself. God does us a many favors, but the one ultimate favor he does, he's going to give you a purpose because you're his son, you're his shepherd, and you have work to do. And you have to understand this, God going to have a purpose for you. You may not see it coming. You may not know it's coming, but it's going to come. And it ain't nothing you're going to be able to do but follow suit with your purpose. And I think that's kind of where I am now. God had to sit me down so I can find my purpose or live out the purpose he has set for me. I never thought of it like that. But now look at all the things that has happened to me. I look at all the time I've spent dealing with cancer and this disease and this sickness. And I had to tell myself there has to be a purpose behind this. Because I can't see me being diagnosed with cancer twice. And on the back end might have to have a transplant. Well, actually, we'll have to have a transplant and don't have a purpose for it. I don't know what my purpose is today as I talk. And anybody who can hear my voice, I don't know what it is. And quite frankly, I don't even care. Because I know I'm going to live out a purpose. I will have a legacy. And it will come soon. And that's kind of what I'm working on right now. That's kind of my purpose before having a purpose. To find things that interest me. To find things that I want to do. To find things that push the needle. To find things that make me think. To find things that make me ask questions. To find things that make me explore. To find things that make me interested in being interested. Okay? I have a lot of time now. And I don't want to waste it on trivial things. And I think one of the things that I'm going to do is find out what my purpose is. But before that, I'm going to say I got a purpose. The Lord has blessed me with sight to be able to hear, to be able to see, to be able to talk, to be able to touch and feel. I will find my purpose. And I implore you to find yours. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how long we're going to do it. But I do know one thing. If you can hear my voice, you have a purpose. If you can hear my voice, you want a purpose. If you can hear my voice, you need a purpose. If you can hear my voice, you are the purpose. If you can hear my voice, say purpose. The word for the day is purpose. Have your purpose. Have your purpose. Your purpose is what's going to define you. Your purpose is what's going to give you your power and your energy, because that's what you're going to live for.
Purpose is not something you pick. Purpose is something you discover. Listen, hear me. There's a lot of people confused trying to figure out their purpose. You don't choose a purpose. You discover a purpose. And that's why if you walk up on my children and ask them what they want to be when they grow up, they're not going to say, I want to be a lawyer or a doctor. They're going to say, I want to fulfill my purpose. Because according to Ephesians 2:10, before they were born, Jesus already prepared paths for them.